Hello everyone, I'm Brian and today I'm going to be doing a trailer reaction to the honeymoon phase. So, I do believe this is the correct poster behind it. I just realized there were X marks. I thought those were buffali. I thought those were butterfly markings in the back, but no, it seems like they're selecting certain people and crossing out certain people. Alright, so the honeymoon phase is, I didn't look it up. My idea of what the honeymoon phase is basically it's the phase where when people get married, they're just so happy to be together. It's all wonderful and great. And then after the honeymoon phase, generally everything settles down, everything gets back to normal, and it's not as happy as it used to be. It's not necessarily that it's bad, but it's just that the honeymoon phase is just that really high of excitement and endorphins just freaking flowing through your brain. So I don't know anything about it. It looks interesting, so let's give it a shot. Copyrighted music.
Seeks
Oh.
married couples to participate in a 30-day research study. Payment $50,000.
We don't even know what this
Wow.
is.
I can assure you, we're just a group of romantics who, I must confess, are a little obsessed with love.
Okay.
I hope you all enjoy your stay here.
It's looking like Recall a little bit. The idea of Recall itself, actually.
Welcome to orientation. I'm your handler. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. These headsets will record your brainwaves as we discuss your experiences over the next month, hopefully leading us to uncover the truth behind the honeymoon phase.
I love
Don't trust Tom.
Whoa.
Hello?
Dude, that's kind of
He's
creepy.
not the man you think he is.
you. I love that trip.
Tom, I photoshopped you in. Ever since we got to this house, things have felt off.
If you can't trust me, maybe our relationship isn't strong enough.
I've been informed that you've been experiencing paranoid delusions.
Whoa, dude.
Well, I didn't think you'd make it past the first week.
What are you saying?
Yay!
How do you know it wasn't real?
I was with you.
Don't tell me to calm down. She's manipulating us.
You're the one running away, not me!
Wow. This is... Whoa.
I love you. And you learn to love me too.
Okay. Wow. That was quite strong. Okay. Is that it? Okay. Let's go over the trailer here. That is quite an interesting trailer. There's another trailer that we did a long time ago where a woman lost her memory, and then the guy that was with her was trying to convince her that she was in love with him. The problem with that trailer was they gave out way too much. It, at least as far as the trailer was concerned, it seemed like they gave out everything about the trailer. They gave out the truth. I hope I'm wrong with that, but the problem is though that to me they just kind of ruined it. And there was no questions left. It was all answered in the trailer. This one, on the other hand, does give out some questions. Does give it more questions than answers. I thought it was answers, but it might be questions. So let's go over it though. So Millennium Project future? The future, okay. So we see, I think this is hopefully their real marriage. It could be a simulation, it could be these two people in a pod thinking, what would our futures be like? Because Millennium Project, the future. So that, I just now thought of this. I never really thought about it when I saw that the first time, but I have a feeling maybe these two people, let's play this part real quick.
The Millennium Project project seeks married couples to participate in a 30-day research study.
Okay, so they were in fact married. Because I was thinking maybe these two people went into this project to think like, what would it be like if we got married? And this project is supposed to be able to determine their future based on their actions, based on their brain activity and stuff. So it's like they get into the headset, the computer starts crunching the numbers and playing out in their head what it would be like if they were to get married. And what we see throughout this entire movie is in fact them in a fantasy world of what it would have been like. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. It seems like it quite clearly states that, you know, the Millennium Project is about getting newly married couples, even though it says married couples.
Project seeks married couples to participate in a
Married couples. So I have a feeling they picked them because they need a wide variety of test subjects. You know, newly married, married for 20 years, married for 5 years, just to see what the effects will be like with the different married range. So 0 years, newlyweds, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, etc.
30-day research study. Payment.
So it just says 30-day research study. So it doesn't say exactly what the study is about, what they're studying. I'm guessing that's a brain scan. It looks like it, I guess. All right.
We don't even know what this is.
I can assure you, we're just a group of romantics who, I must confess, are a little obsessed with love.
There's a group of romantics, I must confess, was obsessed with love. Okay, so it doesn't say much more.
We all enjoy your stay here.
Okay. So I don't know if they were introducing them to the place, this place, or were they were still in the hospital. So I'm not sure. It seems like they were plugged into this suit, this thing in the hospital, and all of this that they're seeing right now is all in their head. As in, they're really not there, but to make it seem real, they play it out like the scientists are playing out like they really are there, and that they have to put in this headband so they can read their brainwaves, when in reality they're still in the hospital. I'm not sure. We can see that the tech is very futuristic here because we see a hologram, which is not too futuristic, but we can do holograms nowadays, but it's usually it's behind glass cases so that the lighting can reflect properly so you can see it. This looks like a standalone hologram. And then you see the very futuristic suits. I mean, futuristic just because this is very, very odd attire. So it's not necessarily futuristic per se, but well, look at that bookcase. I didn't even notice that. What is up with that bookcase? It is so off. But hey, actually that works with a bookcase because you want your books to be leaning one way or another. The thing is, though, it said we needed to put this. Let's hear what they say about the headbands.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. These headsets will record your brainwaves as we discuss your experiences over the next month.
Okay, so they need to wear the headbands generally so they can see what their brainwaves are like, but we don't see them wearing it after that initial part. They didn't put it on. You see throughout this entire, excuse me, jeez. You see this entire experience, they don't have the headsets on at all. And it's kind of weird that she opened her eyes right in the middle of the kiss. Well, the two lips touching, not really a kiss, but still. And it's kind of weird, you know, freaking there's eyes everywhere in this house. So that's kind of, that is, hey, they volunteered, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully the people that's running this place let them know, it's like, hey, look, there's eyes everywhere. Ears and eyes everywhere. And then it says, don't trust. I forgot what his name was.
Hello?
Oh.
Don't trust Tom.
Don't trust Tom. That's so cool. So to get two people in a room, newlyweds, and they start messing with them. So interesting.
He's not the man you think he is.
He's.
I love that trip.
Tom, I photoshopped you in.
Wait. Oh. Okay. So I whenever I first saw this in the trailer, it's like, I was like, I photoshopped you in. I thought she was just like joking or something like that, but no, actually. So the what she was doing basically is she's testing him. She got a photo and photoshopped them in to see what his reaction would be. If he says that, oh, I love that, basically what he said, I love that trip, even though the trip's not real, that means something is wrong.
Tell me I photoshopped you in.
Wait, let's actually hear what he says.
I love that trip.
Tell me I photoshopped you in.
So basically, there is something wrong there. Whenever he photoshopped him in, it's like, I photoshopped you in. And he says, I love that trip, but I photoshopped you in. We didn't go to that. He seemed sincere when he said that. That is, there's something wrong there, obviously. She feels so odd about it. And also the computer was telling her not to trust him. And who is she? Oh, she's another couple. Well, part of a couple, I think. She looks like she's wearing the same outfit.
You've been experiencing paranoid delusions.
Paranoid delusions.
From your file, I didn't think you'd make it past the first week.
What are you saying?
It was kind of weird. Like everything, it could have seemed like that. You know, the doctors were messing with her, and he was, you know, fine. Like they didn't really mess with him yet. But right here, where he's freaking holding, his hand is up and it's red, like as though he killed someone or something. Wait, what happened here?
No, it wasn't real.
I was with you.
Wait.
It wasn't real. How do you know it wasn't real?
I was with you.
Don't tell me to calm down.
So yeah, so this is very interesting, fascinating in my opinion. So one thinks it's real, one thinks it's fake. So what is reality? Which is something, you know, I don't want to get into that. That's very I can't even say that word. It's a big word. There's one part that he says something that kind of sticks out.
You're the one running away, not me!
Mapping complete. Subject 11. Thomas Jacob. Heart rate monitor. So, I have a feeling, again, this is just me speculating here. They're still in the hospital. They're not really out there. And they're just, it seems so advanced. They're probably manipulating the brain because, what is it? The brain, the only way the brain can see and hear is by obviously the eyes and ears, but the brain itself doesn't necessarily have the eyes and ears. It's just connective tissues connected to our eyes, to our ears. I'm sorry, to our eyes, to our brain, our ears, to our head, and our skin. All connected tissues sending signals to the brain saying, I felt this, I felt this, I felt this, I am seeing this. Our eyes are telling our brain, this is what I'm seeing. Our ears are telling our brain, this is what I'm hearing. Our skin is telling our brains, this is what I'm feeling. So basically, if you can mimic those signals, you can mimic the signals of the eyes saying, to send the signals that this is what I'm seeing. I think that's what's going on here, because they seem to be able to scan the brain quite well, and this is what we see. This says mapping complete. I have a feeling this is the brain mapping, so they're able to completely read all the different connective neurons in our brains to know what this signal says and does, because that's how we remember things. Is if a certain pattern of neurons are firing in our brain, that very specific pattern is very specific to whatever that is. This is a very specific pattern in our brain, in my brain. This is to, and looking is also. So when they have a complete mapping of the brain, they can basically send whatever information they want to their brain, and the brain will believe it, because the brain cannot tell the difference whether it's coming from their eyes or whether it's being fed in from the computer. So I'm wondering actually if each of them are having their own individual experience, as she, like, this is not the real Thomas. I can't remember his name. Anyway, not the real whatever Thomas, or Thomas whatever. Yeah, I don't remember. Ooh, what the heck happened there? Oh, they pulled out. Right here. Okay, so yeah. So it looks like, whoa, there's a knife there. I did not see that. I figured that they were in the hospital and they have the brain thing. They're basically feeding the brain information. They're not really at that house. And I'm wondering if they're like the Thomas in her, and her, what we're seeing, it's not the real Thomas. It's the computer that's feeding the brain that information, whereas Thomas is also having the same experience, but they're not connected at all. He's having his own reality while she's also having her own personal reality. Honeymoon face. All right. I hate the fact that I may have discovered what the movie is about, but nonetheless, it's all nothing but theories and very interesting questions. So the trailer, I do believe, does it quite right. It does bring up a lot of questions. Question whether they're actually it. I mean, that scene where it was pulling out the incubation tube, I believe it was, to help him breathe. We don't know what part of the movie that takes place in. We see that they finally in the trailer that they showed the headband that they're supposed to wear in the simulation, but they never did. It's like, oh, we need you to wear this so that we can monitor your brain waves or whatever for the study. Never worn it in the trailer, which is in the house, which is a problem. It kind of gives a little bit of it away. But yeah, this movie, this movie trailer does quite a lot of things right. Gets me to ask a lot of questions and makes me want to find out. Again, these questions are things that I'm quite interested in. So questions as in, is he the real? Is that the real Thomas, but he's being manipulated? I have a feeling it's not. It's in fact a computer-generated Thomas for the wife. This is her own personal experience that the computer is generating for her specifically, and Thomas is having his own. They went in together, but they're not in the same world. They're on their own individual worlds, and they're each believing, I have a feeling that each of them are believing that the other person is real in their own world, which is not. It's a computer generated world. And although I am curious as to that one woman that was outside banging to let me in, she says. How is she in there? Now, is all the women in the same area? Like, they're all grouped up together, but the men in their relationship is fake? Like, it's computer generated? Or is that part of the simulation where they had that woman coming in there saying, help me, to make her think that her husband could end up doing the same thing, turning against her? So again, a lot of questions which I actually do want to know the answers to. Alright, I think I said too much, way too much. Clearly I said too much. So I'm going to go ahead and rate this. I think I'm going to give this a 4. I don't think I can give it a 4.5 nor a 5, but a 4 for sure. Because again, all the questions that I've asked, and that all those things I do want answered, and I'm very interested in human psychology. And this kind of, again, this is a story. Everything's pre-written, so it's not really what humans would do, but it's just it is potentially one of the possibilities of how a person would react in this scenario. It's no movie will ever encompass what everyone would do. It's impossible. Everyone will react differently, this being a one possibility of that reaction. Alright, so I gave it a 4. What about you guys? What would you rate this? Would you give this a 5, a must watch, a 4, a will watch, a 3, a may watch, a 2, a may not watch, or a 1, won't watch? Let me know in the comments below and explain your reasoning why. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.